Today, I'm going to show you a practical example of how AI is changing my everyday life. I'm going to be using a Hermes agent in order to plan a family road trip. No, I'm not starting $1 million business or letting it work on a coding project while I sleep. This is everyday real things that actually make an impact on myself as well as my wife and kids. Now, I see a lot of talk online about products like OpenClaw or Hermes agent, and sometimes people don't quite see the use case for it. I get it. I understand why it's confusing because if you sign up for an email marketing service, you know exactly what you're getting. You're going to be able to send emails with it. But when you add an agent to your life, there's really no limit to the amount of help or assistance it can provide. And I can say this, I think unequivocally, there's not been a large project I have tried to tackle in the last 6 months without involving my agent in some capacity. And without fail, it's always been helpful and more successful because we involved the agent. And I say we because my wife has her own agent and she's used it for things like gardening projects. Agents are there and they are not going to go away, so you might as well learn how to use them. Let me show you one practical example today as we plan a family road trip right after a message from today's sponsor, Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting provider. You can run things like your WordPress website or other self-hosted applications on Cloudways. The real benefit here is that you get to pick your managed cloud provider, something like Vultr, DigitalOcean, or Google Cloud, and they handle all of the heavy server config work. If you're still on slow shared hosting, you'll be happy to know that Cloudways offers free migrations. They have uncapped free migrations, so you can move as many sites as you want over to Cloudways at absolutely no charge. When it comes to performance, especially for WordPress websites, they've got something they call the Lightning Stack. It lets you take any load for your WordPress website. You'll never be down because too many people hit your site at once. You get caching, Redis, all of the goodies to make sure that your website is lightning fast and super stable. If you run a WordPress agency managing multiple WordPress websites on a day-to-day basis, doing things like updates and backups, you are absolutely going to love the new Cloudways Site Manager. It's one place to see all of your sites, run the updates, handle the backups, and knock out the same chores that you'd otherwise have to spend on repeat doing over and over again across every site you manage. So if you run client sites and you install more than one plugin in one place, the hours that you save here are practically infinite. And if you haven't paid attention to Cloudways in a while, they have been no slouches about adding AI features. They've got something called their AI Copilot, as well as an MCP hook so that you can manage all of your hosting from your favorite AI tool or use their built-in Copilot. So if this sounds good and you want to know more about Cloudways, the link is in the description, and you can even use my coupon code DaveSwift at checkout to save $10 off your first month of hosting. Thanks to Cloudways for sponsoring today's video. And now back to planning that road trip. Okay, so I think the best approach here is to lay things out in two parts. First, we're gonna start with the technical setup. Now, I'm not gonna go through a full Hermes install here, but I'll give you enough of a background that you understand how my infrastructure works so that you can get some ideas for how you might want to approach similar things in your life. And then I'm going to show you the actual prompts, the entire conversation that I had with my agent named Lloyd to plan this entire epic road trip. I mean, we're going to be gone for, I think, like 18, 19 days. This is not a small weekend getaway. We have a lot riding on this, and Lloyd has done a tremendous job of making sure everything is clear and thoughtfully planned out. So first, let me start with a brief overview of the tech here. Nothing is complicated or hard, or you don't need to be a software engineer to do what I have done. You just have to be a little bit curious and not afraid to fail and try again if things don't work out the first time. So to start off, my Hermes agent is running on a Mac Mini in my basement. It's connected to Ethernet, it's always on 24/7, never sleeps, and that's really the setup I would recommend for most people. This does not have to be a powerful machine with a ton of RAM because I'm still using a cloud API access for the AI component. The power in the agent comes into play because it's got access to all of my files that are stored on that Mac Mini. Now, what I have chosen to do is to install it on my actual Mac user account. I know this is a little controversial because that means it has access to all of my actual files that are on like my iCloud, my personal files, my photos, things like that. So If some malicious actor did get in, which I've set up a lot of precautions so that they're not going to, yes, they could hypothetically delete everything and ruin my life. So knock on wood that that doesn't actually happen. Now, I did not start off this way. My very first agent I had on its own user account, and it was very much, gated off from the world. So if this is your first experience with using an agent, that would still be my recommendation, just so that you kind of learn to put up those guardrails and feel safe and secure. Then later, it's very easy to move your agent over to your primary account if that's what you feel would make your life a lot easier. And for me, it definitely was a huge upgrade in terms of not always trying to send files and get permissions and things like that. It just has everything because it's right there on my Mac. The second thing that makes this really usable, especially if you're on the go a lot, like I'm going to be traveling across the country, but quite frankly, I'm on the go all the time and I still need to access my agent no matter where I am on any device that I own. The second component here is Tailscale. Tailscale is totally free. I don't know how it's free, but it's miraculous. And this video is not sponsored by Tailscale. So if you want to sponsor the channel Tailscale, I'm all ears. The way that Tailscale works is essentially it creates what I would best describe as like an intranet for your own devices. So you of course have like a home network with all of your devices connected. I mean, whether you've set it up or not, if you connect to a wireless router, they're all on the same local network. With Tailscale, you just basically connect all of those devices to your tailnet, and then those devices can see each other even if they're not on the local network. It'll seem as though it's a local connection. So what this lets me do is, like in the example I'm about to show you today, I've got a website that's running only on my local network. It's not accessible to the outside world, but all of my family members who are on my tailnet can still see the website that we've built for our vacation that has our itinerary, every place we're going, what we're gonna do, and they can even update that website from their devices, but only if they have the Tailscale app installed and Tailnet is activated. So it's just essentially a little switch you flip inside of the app and that puts you on the Tailnet. Honestly, I leave it on all the time and I don't notice any sort of slowdown or issues at all. Okay, so that's the real foundation of how everything works. The TLDR is I've got Hermes running on my Mac Mini that's on my home network, and then I've got Tailnet set up, a Tailscale network, so that my devices can talk to each other. Now on that Mac Mini, Lloyd has built a little website, which is what you see right here. This has our entire trip's itinerary. So I can click into the individual trip. And by the way, I set this up kind of like a CMS so that if we have future trips, I can have them all stored on this website. We'll have the itinerary for all the trips, and then we can also add journal entries, photos, videos, and keep all of our travels organized here on this website. Now, the URL of the website is travel.swiftmn.com. If you try to visit this website, it's not going to work for you because you're not on our Tailscale network. So this is only accessible, even though I'm using a regular domain name, I've got it locked down so that you have to be on our Tailnet in order to see it. And you can see that we are leaving here on June 19th at 7:30 a.m. and our first stop will be for lunch at 11 a.m. Now, this was all based around an initial conversation I had with my agent that said, hey, Lloyd, I need to be in Daytona Beach, Florida from a specific date until a specific date. And then it helped me book a hotel reservation. So we're essentially picking things up from the point at which I'd already booked the hotel reservation. And that was, I think, a month and a half ago, like 6 weeks ago. And at that point, I didn't know how we were going to get to Florida. We'd obviously considered flying, but we were in the middle of a move, so we weren't certain about booking tickets because we didn't know what state we'd be flying out of. We are still in Minnesota, so now air travel is going to be just like astronomically expensive, and we've always wanted to take a big family road trip, show the kids parts of the US, get some cultural exposure for them, and so we thought, this is a perfect opportunity. So I started off this prompt here with Lloyd, and I just said, hey, I need to plan our road trip to Daytona. Do you remember our hotel reservations? And sure enough, I'm showing you this prompt specifically because with Hermes Agent, if you've ever tried like OpenClaw, one thing you'll know is that OpenClaw says it's going to do a lot of things, and it really just doesn't always do those things. But with Hermes Agent, it really does have a really great built-in memory system. I didn't have to do a whole lot of, extra add-ons in order to get it to just remember darn near everything we talk about. So here it's got our entire trip planned. Now I'm obviously going to post this after we return from the trip, and I'll give you an update if possible in terms of how everything went. But it's got our details of where we're staying and how long we're going to be there. This is actually for my daughter has a dance competition here. And so if we have to be here for these specific dates, which is why I booked the hotel room. Now we've actually got to get there. And so I said, hey, plan this road trip for us. So here's my exact prompt. I said, let's map the drive from Eden Prairie. We're making an extended road trip for the kids to see the US. We want some fun stops, but also some historically significant and culturally significant stops. We plan to leave on June 19th, and we want to be back home either by July 4th, or if we can find someplace special to spend the 4th, we could come back a little bit later, but at least by July 6th. So immediately Lloyd gets pumped up here, says this is going to be an epic family road trip, 1,400 plus miles each way, 2 weeks to see the US. Let's map this out properly. And then it's got a travel planning skill that it built by itself. I didn't say, hey, build a travel planning skill. It did that on its own, probably when we booked the initial hotel would be my guess. And it gave me this first draft of everything it wanted us to do. Now, the problem that I saw right away was there's just a bit too much in this, right? So it was like, if we're going to go on a road trip and we're going to take our time, we don't want to be driving 7 or 8 hours a day, because then we're going to be burned out. All of the activities will be closed and we're just going to basically be at each other's throats the entire time. No, instead we're going to drive out there over the course of 4 or 5 days, make the drives a lot smaller, and get to see more of the country. Now, my wife and my son had already put together some ideas just searching on Google the old-fashioned way for things that they would like to see. I just took a picture of their notebook. There ended up being a couple pages here. I just pasted in the second page for things that they would like to do. And Lloyd said right away, we've got to go to the Kennedy Space Center. So make sure we block off some time for that. I'm like, I agree. We should definitely do this. And then it planned out a much better route. So you can see here, June 19th, we're going to be in Boone, Iowa, June 20th, St. Louis, so on and so forth. But at this point, I was still concerned it was going to be too many stops, too much driving, and we just weren't going to be able to fit everything in. So I had it reassess the plan that it made. And I think this is a key part of using AI is after it gives you a plan, even if that plan looks good, tell it to go back and double check its work. Always double check its work. Sometimes triple check it after it adds anything new. Hey, are you sure this is good? Is this actually what you would do? Or are you just trying to appease something that you thought I was inferring? I mean, I don't say it like that, but you can kind of tell that's a lot of what the agents are trying to do. They want to make you happy. And so if you've indicated that something is right or is the way that you prefer, it's always going to default to that, even if it's not going to get you the best results. So here it did kind of a third pass at the trip and started to remove some things and make it feel less like a marathon. It's saying, you know, if we add too much, it's going to feel like a marathon. In fact, it came down to this conclusion here. This route is fun, but the down to Daytona version is too packed unless we cut a few things or accept long driving days. That's when I reminded Lloyd that we have to drive back, so we might as well just go a different way back and see some different things. We don't have to take the same path, and that'll give us more opportunity to maybe not zigzag across the country on the way down to Florida. So it gave me one final itinerary here, and I think this is primarily the one that I ended up with. And I just wanted to make sure that we would arrive at our hotel in enough time to check in, because they were very clear at the time of booking. They don't do any late check-ins and things like that. So I didn't want to end up somewhere without a place to stay, and said we are good. It was able to look at my emails and see, you know, when the check-in time was. So like, oh, your check-in window is 4 p.m. to midnight. You'll be there in that time frame. No worries. Then at this point, it started building out this website that you see here, but it was a lot more sparse. It didn't have any photos of anything that we were doing. It didn't have any links, and the formatting was just kind of not super great. It also had like a very AI color scheme where everything was, you know, kind of like blues and purples and very dark. So I just told it to make it a little bit more Apple-esque and go ahead and research photos for all of the places we were going. That way every normal people looking at this can look and see it and get excited for what we're gonna do, and make sure we had addresses and clickable links for all of the actual places we're gonna be visiting. Then I had it add in the amount of time we'd spend driving from destination to destination so I could glancingly see, let the kids know, hey, this is gonna be about a 3 hour drive. So, get comfortable, grab your iPad, whatever you need to do to get through this. And then when we get there, we'll be at the Superman statue and we can go into the museum here and see the world's largest collection of Superman memorabilia. So that prompt looked like this. It just said, let's add in the URLs of each anchor site. That was a term that the agent started using for the destination that we were going to in each town, and then build this itinerary out with a timeline, destination addresses, websites, and photos from their sites when possible. And then, making sure that it puts this as our first trip on our new CMS website. Lloyd comes back with done, gives me all of the links necessary. And then I've got a kind of folder system here that I call Dave OS, where it just gave me a markdown file of the itinerary in case, something happens and I can't access the website. I'll still be able to pull up the text version. It's stored on my laptop that I'll be bringing with me on the trip. At this point, the website is looking pretty good. I gave it some more feedback in terms of just the spacing language, just some overall typography things I didn't like, just general feedback like you'd give to any website designer. And then it spruced it up to the point where it is what you saw today. At that point, I still didn't have all of the photos, so I just kept telling it, take another pass, add more details, add more images, and then it would do that. And I'd say, okay, that looks good. Now make sure you find an actual place for the 4th of July fireworks. It was saying like, just go someplace locally. Like I need more information than that. I think the point I'm making here is that this is a really big project. And so it's going to get a lot of the details right. You could apply this to doing like an app build with an AI assistant as well. It's going to get a lot of the details right, but it's also going to just kind of graze over some things and not go into enough detail to actually make it usable and functional the way that you would expect it to be, as if a human assistant actually created it. Or maybe if you've got like a not so great human assistant, this might be like their first pass. Like, hey, is this good? Am I going the right direction? And you just be like, yeah, okay, now go and add more details. I want all of the links. Make sure the links are right. I want specific destinations. Don't just say, go somewhere in the general area. It could be the same thing if you're building out an application with AI. It's gonna kind of make some features. It'll put the menu up there, but it won't actually build anything in the background. You gotta be like, hey, did you actually look at this? You gotta finish it so it's completely done. And so then you can see here, we're nearing the end of the updates. Now it still adds some more features for me that I wanna talk about, but it's gone through and refined all of the visits. It's added timelines to everything, made sure all of the links were there. And then I told it once again, give it one final pass. Look for mistakes. Look for anything that could screw us up. I want to make sure that this trip is a success. So we're going to keep doing those QA passes until everything comes back like I didn't need to change anything. And the last thing that really kind of threw us off in terms of our itinerary is one of the events or one of the places we wanted to go called the Rail Explorer. As was, I had a typo here. That is actually sold out for the date we were supposed to go. So we're gonna switch it and hit it on the way back. So Lloyd was able to pivot in no time at all, switch the dates around, change our entire itinerary without really like screwing us up too badly. And it even looked at the website and found the availability for the time that we could actually go, which is cool. So it browsed the website for me, said, hey, there's a July 6th date, 3 p.m., which ended up being the time that I booked. And yeah, just went ahead and updated the itinerary to take that into account. So we didn't get to miss this kind of fun thing. We're gonna be doing a lot of boring things. We're gonna go look at like Abraham Lincoln's house. Not so exciting. So we're balancing that out with, riding in railroad cars for the kids. Now, some more things I think are just kind of cool. Like my wife is a veteran, right? So I said, hey, why don't you go check to see if any of the places we're attending have military discounts so that we make sure, because we don't always think to ask, or if we're booking tickets online, sometimes they only have military discounts in person. Why don't you go look for me and find out if military discounts are available at any of these places? So it went ahead and created a tickets and military discounts page. So here's everywhere you need tickets, and whether or not they actually have a military discount is all documented there. I chose not to put this on the actual website itself because I just didn't feel like it was necessary, but that'd be a simple thing to add into the details. And maybe I'll do that in the future here before we actually leave in about 12 hours. So at this point, I'm really just treating Lloyd like an actual assistant, saying, hey, get this extra detail for me, find out if I can do X, Y, and Z. And I've yet to find a situation where Lloyd's kind of like, no, I don't want to do that for you. It'll almost always find a way to, visit the website, research something. I might have to ask him to do it a few times to make sure there's no mistakes, but it gets there and it's a lot less brain power than if I did it myself. I think that's like the real unlock here, to use kind of a trendy sounding word. Like, you could do this your entire thing yourself, right? You might not build the website, but you could put together an itinerary, and it might take even a similar amount of time, but you'd be mentally fatigued by the end of doing it. It's a lot like the difference between using full self-driving in a Tesla, where if you've ever used that before, you can drive for extremely long periods of time and not feel mentally fatigued at all, versus even 45 minutes in rush hour traffic when you are, gripping the steering wheel, starting and stopping. It is completely exhausting. I would liken using an agent very much to that. I can get way more done because I'm not as tired doing the simple basic tasks over and over again, like checking a website, looking for the discount, finding the link. All of that stuff really takes a big toll on how much just processing power I have in my own brain. The last thing I want to show you in terms of what I did for this road trip was I gave Lloyd access to my iCloud account so it can edit my calendar as needed. So in this case, I created a separate calendar specifically for the road trip. And then as I'm booking tickets, so I've got like a confirmation number here or a booking code, I just paste in screenshots to Lloyd and it adds it to the calendar. That way, when I get to the place and I need to pull up our reservation, of course, I could check my email, or I could even type to Lloyd and wait for him to get the information back. But what's faster to me is have it stored in either calendar, reminders, or notes on my Apple account, because those are apps I use all the time. So very frequently I'll say, hey, make a new reminders list for me and put everything on this, or hey, make an Apple note for this and document it. It's not because Apple Notes is the best thing, it's just Lloyd's very good at accessing it. It's already got access to it on the Mac Mini, and it's a tool that I can very easily share with everyone else in my family because they all have Apple devices, iPads, iPhones, and things like that. All right, so that's planning the trip. Now, documenting how we actually experience it is another thing. I have a journal system set up here. I'm still on our Swift travel website, and I can add in journal entries from each day. I can upload media here, or I can just send it to my assistant. My wife can send it to her assistant or her agent, and they can document it for us. And then we'll have a living journal of everything that we've seen on our road trip. And this, of course, this website, it could be hosted on Cloudways, the sponsor of today's video, but because I want it to be private, it's just running on my Mac Mini. So I can back it up from there. It's nothing that will ever get, leaked to the rest of the internet. There's not like a whole lot of private info here anyway, but I wouldn't want people to just see our random, travel photos. Those are kind of personal to our family. So I wouldn't want to post them on a website that could be public. Keeping everything on our Mac Mini allows us to, just really keep things locked down, and we can have this for eternity. If I need to get a new computer, it's very easy to just dump those files over onto the updated one. So I love this because all of my files are kind of at my control. They're my responsibility now, but also they're my control. So I'm really willing to take that responsibility on in order to have access to my files without any CMS lock-in. This is just HTML running on a computer, is succinctly what I'm trying to say. And that is a really, really good feeling for a nerd like myself. And all my wife knows is she's not gonna be locked out of her journal like she was when she signed up for, real quick, let me look it up. Day One, that's what I was looking for. She was using Day One for a little bit. She stopped paying for the paid subscription. Now she can't get her journal entries out. So I'm like, hey honey, this is all just gonna be on our computer. You don't have to worry about it. It's gonna look great. You'll have access to it from everywhere. It's gonna make a ton of sense. So that's how we're using this for our road trip. We're doing a ton of other stuff with it. I'd like to put together maybe a little series like this, showing you all of the use cases in our daily regular life for how we are using AI. If that's something that's interesting to you, first, make sure you like this video. And second, let me know down below in the comments whether that's something you would tune into on a regular basis. It's gonna do it for today. Thanks to Cloudways for sponsoring today's video. Hit me up again in the comments with any questions, suggestions for future videos. I'd love to hear from you. Check out my website, daveswift.com. You can sign up for my free weekly newsletter. I post 5 tools every single week that have either recently been updated or just came out that have my eye, that I'm, trying to integrate into my workflow, whether it's for business or personal life. It's gonna do it for today. I will see you in the next one. Hope you're doing well.